All right. Welcome to Natural Muscle Systems. I want to talk to you about extremes of effort, like people putting in extremely long workouts, extremes of training every single day of the week, and why that can be not a benefit to you in the long term. And the reason that is because obviously the harder you have to work for something, the more taxing it is on the body, and the more likely you are to end up either being sick, injured, or basically just quitting for the fact that it just feels like it's just so much effort going into it. Now, what I like to do is I like to actually get the maximum results on the minimum amount of training volume and frequency of training, which basically means that I'm not going to train any more than about 4 to 5 days a week for no longer than an hour to an hour and a half. I'm not going to spend hours doing cardio when I need to go and to get into contest shape. I'm going to obviously find that happy medium between obviously a diet that allows me to get lean, but also a diet that has enough nutrients, enough protein, enough carbohydrates to train, and also enough fats to support hormonal sort of function. Okay. And what I find with a lot of people is that they really want to put on heaps and heaps of weight, so they bulk to their absolute maximum, and then they go to extremes of cutting because they've put so much fat on when they bulk. Okay. And I find in the weight loss world, people are going, well, I want to lose 10 kilos a month for whatever period of time, and they might have 100 kilos to lose. And they want to lose that 100 kilos and be one of those biggest loser types that have lost a heap of weight in a very short period of time. And when they lose all that weight in a short period of time, generally what happens is that they have to go on an extreme of diet and also doing an extreme amount of exercise. And it's quite taxing to the body, and eventually they start to crave a lot of different foods. And before you know it, they put most of that weight back on. But if they had done it slowly and maybe they give themselves, 2 years, 3 years to lose the weight, do less cardio, eat a little bit more food, have a little bit more energy, eventually they will lose, the same amount of weight, but they didn't have to do as much to achieve that, okay? So the amount of effort that we put into something and the amount of volume and the amount of frequency can make all the difference to whether we get the consistent results, okay, or whether we get extremes of good results and then we put all the weight back on. In bodybuilding terms, like if I want to look like this, I give myself plenty of time to look like this. I don't try to suddenly diet and cut all my carbs out. I still have carbs in my diet. I still train with good intensity. And I don't train any more than 4 or 5 days a week, because the more that I train, obviously the more fatiguing that is. And especially if you're on a diet, if you have to do a lot of cardio, the more fatigue you're going to get from doing those extremes of volume and, large amounts of cardio. So if you're one of those people that finds that, you're putting on a lot of weight when you do, let's say, a bulk, or you're actually going and, cutting a lot of calories and doing a lot of extremes of cardio to do that, you may need to rethink your approach, because for the majority of people, that doesn't work. If you can do the maximum, or get the maximum from the minimum, that's going to be better for you in the long run. I remember Dexter Jackson saying he had a really good metabolism, okay? And the reason that he could last so long in bodybuilding was because he didn't have to do huge amounts of treadmill walking and Stairmaster and things like that, because he didn't need to do it. And that was good for him for the longevity, okay? But when you're an extreme personality with extreme ideas and you want to do extremes of all the different facets of, like, getting into shape, if you keep doing those extremes, you will fatigue eventually, or injure. You'll get injured, or you'll get really sick, okay? it depends on the person, depends on, I guess, what happens first. The majority of people get niggly injuries or they get sick, okay? And that normally is something that happens when they try to do extremes of anything in the long term, okay? So if you're that type of person, you may need to have another look at it, okay? If you're doing more than 4 or 5 days a week of exercise to lose body weight, besides maybe a little bit of walking and keeping active in that way, then you're probably not going to end up in the long term holding on to those results. The less you have to work for it, the longer you're going to keep it, and the less effort you have to put in to keep it. And don't forget that, it takes less energy to maintain than to actually lose. So if you're maintaining a good level, you don't have to try and get in shape again. So get out of the other extreme of putting on weight and then losing it, and putting on weight and then losing it, and constantly trying to get in shape again. Try to maintain a good level that you can hold on to. Try to do that with a minimum amount of exercise that suits your lifestyle and obviously your busyness, how busy you are with work and how busy you are with family. And if you can do that, I can guarantee you that in the future you will maintain a very good level, but at the same time you won't have to do too much to do it. Now, a lot of people have said to me, how many days a week do you train to look like that? 4 to 5. That's my maximum, 4 to 5 days a week. I don't necessarily train on Sundays, but if I was to train on Sundays, I'd have more rest days during the week. But I do not train excessively in order to maintain, if not to get into the shape like this, because I don't put on large amounts of weight in the off season. And when I do actually increase my calories, I try to sort of keep a good level that I don't have to do that. So this is only going to be a short 10-minute video. I'm going to share this up so you guys can have a look at it, come back and have a look. So I'm going to end this with, the more energy you have to put in, the more likely the outcome is that you're going to eventually lose what you've gained. So if you want to hold on to what you've gained, do the minimum to lose and do even less to actually hold on, and make sure that your diet is geared towards that. Don't get into, if you're in a bodybuilder type sense, don't get into a bulk cut and put on heaps of weight and then have to lose heaps of weight. Put on small amounts of weight, get into a small surplus, and do a lesser cut with more time to cut and less energy expended during that cut phase. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll leave this video up. Take it easy, and I'll talk to you next time.